The IEDC cell of CCE has always been one of the most active organizations with innovative and vibrant events marking its trademark. And this time, IEDC brings you LeaP, a 5-day event with sessions on prime topics being handled by experienced professionals and academicians in the industry. I would like to also welcome Mr. Dr. Arun Agustin, our chair for the day.
Yeah. Good evening, all. Hope I am audible.
Yes, sir, you are.
Yeah, I'm very happy to introduce today's resource person, Mr. LeaP Charles. He is a very strong aero modeler and a drone platform evangelist. He has a bachelor degree in aeronautical engineering from MVJ College of Engineering, Bangalore. And he has a serial entrepreneur in different field, and who has an experience of having startups in IT, hobby retail, and UAV training industries. And he has trained more than 5,000 plus students in aero modeling in his career within last 6 years. He has also had an opportunity of training 100 plus drone pilots for the drone industry, who are now employed in 15 plus companies. Mr. LeaP is an aerospace consultant for various academic institutions like VIT Bhopal, MVJ College of Engineering, Bangalore, Agni College of Technology. He is also an aerospace consultant for many companies. Mr. LeaP Charles completed his journey as a CEO of Garuda Aerospace Pvt Limited, which is India's first unicorn startup recently. And this was JMS' first project as a part of JMS ecosystem support endeavors. The company became India's largest drone service company and become one of the 3 drone companies invited by NDRF to assist them at Uttarakhand Glacier disaster site. Mr. LeaP Charles formed Jain Aerospace Pvt Limited in 2019. The JMA is a startup ecosystem whose primary purpose is to assist aerospace industry in scaling up. JMA is an evangelist for the aerospace industry, especially for the drone ecosystem, and strives to link the dots to complete the picture. And this JMA has worked tirelessly to raise awareness, provide infrastructure support, test site access, provide a skilled aerospace workforce, provide business solutions, training students for Industry 4.0, and foster industry academic collaboration. JMA so far has conducted more than 200 workshops, professional talks, webinars, and seminars in numerous top institutions, colleges, and organizations. JMA has currently trained 61 drone pilots so far, and all of them have been successfully placed in top companies across India. So with your permission, I would like to invite Mr. LeaP Charles, a very highly experienced person in this field, to today's session. Thank you.
Thank you, Arun sir. And without further ado, our guest is here. I would like to welcome Mr. LeaP Charles, founder and managing director, Jain Aerospace Pvt Limited, to illuminate us with his expertise on unmanned aerial vehicle. Looking forward to a very fruitful session with you, sir. I heartily welcome you. So your mic is muted, sir.
I think that's the first thing that happens in every webinar. Thank you so much, Thomas, for introducing, and then the other faculty as well. It's indeed a pleasure to be talking to the future generations of this country, and given that we're going through very difficult times, it would be great that if somebody could come up with something innovative to help this country out of crisis. So that's all we are looking for. And then as a a drone platform evangelist, I believe that drones are the future, and the future is up in the sky. Everybody is building automated cars. I think that will get outdated very fast, and then we will most probably flying around the planet going ahead. So that being said, this is more of my experience, my knowledge, and my understanding that I've gained through working with a lot of drone companies right from 2016, and how the drone industry has been shaping up, and then what are the opportunities that exist for a lot of you who want to be entrepreneurs in this segment. And I think it's a very fascinating thing to be talking about, given that today a lot of startups start at colleges, right? It's gone are the days when startups started after people graduating or after gaining some few years of experience in a job. Today, right from second year or third year, there's already companies being registered, and then people are working on numerous technologies, drone being one predominant technology of the Industry 4.0 segment. So let me just share the presentation. Please let me know if you're able to see it. Are you able to see the presentation?
Not yet, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay. So another thing that I generally see is, in case you're unable to hear the sound, just let me know.
Yes, sir. Indeed.
There are a few videos in the presentation, so if you're unable to hear the sound, let me know. So entrepreneurship in the drone industry, it's a hot topic everywhere. With more than 200 drone companies, be it manufacturers, service providers, or drone support industry, which is supporting the main OEMs with spare parts or payloads or softwares. The industry is growing very rapidly, given to the fact that it's pretty easy to start something in this segment, right? So let's see how if some of you could actually build a company in this segment and then take it forward. So that's myself. I call myself the dronepreneur. This was not. This is something that my mentor came up with. It's very catchy, and so we call everybody who's having a startup in the drone industry a dronepreneur. Because we're building enterprise solutions for various grassroots level challenges, and that itself is a very challenging, exciting work that we do. About Jain Aerospace, I think there's enough introduction that has been given. I will talk about the company and my stint as the CEO of Garuda Aerospace in the last, so that or during the presentation as well, so that you will be able to correlate better. I would like to thank all the affiliates for being part of this program, and it's indeed an honor to be working. I would like to thank Christ College of Engineering for helping set up this webinar for their students and others who are participating in this webinar. And let's start. So what are drones? Now, the common misconception is something that flies and then you're controlling it with a remote is a drone. No, that's one part of the drone segment. Any unmanned vehicle, be it in the air, on the ground, on water, or underwater, that is remotely controlled, or that is controlled through a computer program without any humans actually piloting it, is called a drone. It can be an unmanned aerial vehicle, it can be unmanned ground vehicle, it can be an unmanned aquatic vehicle, or it can be unmanned submersibles. So drone is a general term that is given for all of these vehicles or technology. We specialize, or we mostly focus on the UAV segment. So UAV is basically a flying drone which is controlled through a ground station by a pilot on the ground, or it is autonomously flown. So this is one small example of a type of a drone. This is IdeaForge's Rhino mapping system that is indigenously manufactured in India. So these are the various other types of drones that we generally don't come across. The first one being the fixed wing. It looks like a normal aeroplane. These drones have their own speciality. The fixed wing drones have longer endurance times so that they can keep flying for a really long time. The single rotor drone or the helicopter drone, as you can see here, comes with a vertical takeoff and landing. It can hover at a location, and it also has an intermediary endurance between the fixed wing and the multi-rotor, since there's only one rotor absorbing power. Then we have the multi-rotor systems. They start from a tricopter going all the way up to 18 or 20 rotors. Apart from the tricopters, the number of rotors on a multi-rotor is always an even number to cancel out or to have two couples so that there is always equilibrium based. Now what some genius did is they took the fixed wing and the multi-rotor and created the hybrid VTOL. The hybrid VTOL has the advantage of vertical takeoff and landing as well as the endurance of a fixed wing. Because for a fixed wing to land or to take off in some conditions, you need a runway or a long strip of or stretch of land. But for a hybrid VTOL, you don't need this. And this bird you might have seen in that movie called Uri. This is an ornithopter. Basically, it flies like a bird, but it's still a drone. The first design for this was done by Leonardo da Vinci late in the 16th century. But after that, we've come across, and then this has a real use case where they use it at Heathrow Airport for chasing away other birds so that there is no bird collision with the aircraft. And then we have aerostat. These work on the principles of buoyancy. You either have, you mostly have helium filled in this, but these are also drones that can stay afloat for a very long time, but they move very slowly. So they have certain applications for long endurance surveillance. So these are basically the classification of drones that are out there. You can always choose what segment you want to enter in based on the problem statement that you're trying to solve. If your drone needs to be fast and have a long endurance, you can go for fixed wing. If you don't need a long endurance, but then you need enough lifting capability and a vertical takeoff and landing, you can go for single rotor or multi-rotor. If you need both long range or long endurance and VTOL capabilities, you can go for hybrid. Ornithopters, let's say you're doing a surveillance mission where you don't want the enemy to spot your drone. The ornithopter looks like a bird, even has a lesser radar cross section, and they'll never be able to spot it. Aerostats are for surveillance and weather study, where the aerostat has to be up in the air for days or more than 15 to 20 hours. So that way you choose the drone based on what problem statement you're trying to resolve. And this is where it starts for an entrepreneur, right? So you are trying to solve a problem statement. It can be delivery of drones, it can be mapping and survey, it can be surveillance, it can be industrial inspection, it can be agricultural activities, it can be GPS denied area inspection or thermal inspection for solar panels. It can be study of volcano or monitoring coastlines. or delivery from the port to the ship. There are innumerable things that you could do. It can also be, you can also build a palm-sized drone that can fly inside your house and be like a movable CCTV camera for indoor security. So you take a problem statement, always take a problem statement that always has a very large use case. That way you could be more successful, and then it will help. And then you choose what type of drone or an aerial platform you need to build or design around that problem statement to give the solution. So this is where it starts. Okay, these are the rules that have recently come into effect. So the first thing, so the apex body in India for any of the drone rule is the Ministry of Civil Aviation. And in the Ministry of Civil Aviation, we have DGCA, Directorate General of Civil Aviation, who framed the first set of rules that came out on the 1st of December 2018. It was called the Civil Aviation Requirement for Remotely Piloted Aircraft System. So we say it's CAR for the RPAS. So these rules initially made commercial flying of drones legal. From 2013 to the 1st of December 2018, flying of drones was banned. And after a lot of discussion, brainstorming, and then moving to and fro between the department and the industry, on the 1st of December, this became legal. And after that, we started to work on it, and then in 2020, the draft for the Unmanned Aircraft System rules was released. Now, whenever you start an industry, knowing the framework for the rules and regulations is very important, because initially there might not be frameworks for a lot of new technology. Like when Bitcoin came, there was no framework. When electric vehicles started coming, there was no framework. When drones came, there were no framework. So we always, as an important factor, it is important to engage with the government and try to set rules and regulations so that tomorrow the industry is not in a soup. So that's what we did. A lot of drone companies and industry representation bodies came together and did this. So this is also a very important part in working in a new technology space. And the beauty of it is we had a department that could hear us and then take it forward, right? 1 minute, just hold on. Are you able to see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, cool. So we worked with the ministry and then developed that, and afterwards in 2020, the draft for the Unmanned Aircraft System rules came out, and in 2021, the Gazette notification happened, and then this is what now governs our industry. So there's a unique system in place in India, which is not existent anywhere in the world, called the NPNT system. That's the no permission, no takeoff system. So the government, so any technology can be used for good and bad. Drones have a little bit higher risk in that. So what the government said, anywhere the drones are being flown, the government needs to know, and then it has to be approved. So the NPNT system was put into place. It's still being built, and any drone flying in India has to be NPNT compliant. And if you build a drone, always make sure it's NPNT compliant, and it goes through all of the processes mentioned in the UAS 2021. And it's very important because selling a drone without NPNT compliance is illegal and will attract penalty. So keep this in mind. This is a very long document. It's about 88 pages. I request everybody to go through. It is available on the DGCA website. The salient features is one, drones are classified into 5 categories: nano, micro, small, medium, and large, based on their weight. Anything below 250 grams does not undergo a lot of compliance, the nano category of drones. Anything above 250 grams has a lot of compliance that it has to undergo. Every drone pilot needs to have a license. There are FTOs, flight train organizations in India, that actually provide license for manned aircrafts, like your private pilot license, your commercial pilot license, your student pilot license. So these organizations are also approved by DGCA to provide drone license. It's a 5-day program for you to get a license. They don't train you, but they give you a license. Apart from that, the drone should also have a unique identification number, just like how your vehicles, your 2-wheelers or your 4-wheelers or your trucks have number plates. The same way, your drone should also have a unique identification number. And as an operator, you should have an unmanned aircraft operator permit. So once you have all of this and an NPNT compliant drone, you're good to fly for application or for your hobby use. I'm not talking about model aircrafts. I'm talking about drones with certain specific payloads. Payloads may include even camera. You're free to fly in the Indian airspace. And the maximum height that drones can go is about 400 feet. Anything above that, you will need special permissions. So why the drone market? Now, if you see, before COVID happened in 2020, we were not that big a force in the Indian market. But COVID actually accelerated the use of drones, because drones started being used for sanitization, for public announcement, for monitoring forests, because people started setting fire to forests, or poaching started happening. So that was done. Delivery was done. Drones were fixed with radiometric thermal cameras to check temperatures of people. So we kept, and then drone delivery, of course. All of this started during that first phase of the lockdown. And I think in Kerala, there's this very famous video that people were playing carom board, and then a drone goes and everybody runs away. So I think you've seen that video as well. So from then onwards, all of the departments figured that drones are really worth the investment, and it could make their lives a lot easier. And that way, the drone market is expanded to grow at 40% compounding annual growth rate. That's a really, really high CAGR. And it's expected to reach 210 million USD by 2020 or 2025. And that's even going to go above. Just to give you a few examples, IdeaForge, India's largest drone manufacturer, landed a deal for 140 crores to sell 100 drones to the Indian Army. Under the NSUAS procurement of the Indian Navy, they are buying some 30 to 40 drones at 3,500 crores. Now, that and under the Swamvitva scheme of the Ministry of Panchayat Raj and Survey of India, there is a plan to map the 6.6 lakh villages in India, the settlement areas, and to give digital land records to the landowners. Now, for this, the Survey of India is looking to procure and deploy altogether 2,500 drones, and the entire budget for that program is 556 crores. So that's how big projects are coming about in the government. Recently, the National Highway Authority of India empaneled companies for video surveillance of the national highways in the country, as well as infrastructure inspection. Police departments and other law enforcement agencies now have got a clear exemption from the Ministry of Home Affairs to procure drones and use it. Drones were used in the Kumbh Mela. They've now been used to monitor the lockdowns in certain places. They have been used in anti-Naxal activities. So the police department, the armed police, and other law enforcement agencies are now widely looking to use drones to help them solve crime or prevent crime in the first place. So that way, the largest client or consumer of drones is the government themselves. This is giving a big push to all drone companies, and that is why I say it's great to be in the drone industry at this point of time. Now, the drone industry also brought in new jobs, and also the entrepreneurship ability, or the entrepreneurship edge that I would call, to this country. Now, the drone pilot, the drone co-pilot, the drone test pilot, the drone pilot trainer, these 4 profiles did not exist before. These are 4 jobs that got added into the job market. And that way, many number of people are employed. And these are very fascinating jobs. Like if you're a drone pilot, you get to travel the length and breadth of the company. You get to fly at very fascinating places. And then you're doing all of this in company's money. And if you're a person who cannot sit behind a desk and then in front of a computer all day long, this is the best job to have. And then this job is not even affected by the lockdowns, because during the lockdowns also drone pilots are on the field. So let me give you my example itself. So myself and my head of operations, Ritesh, we've stayed in lockdown for a maximum of 5 days in 2020. That's it. So we were called by the Karnataka police to fly for them, especially the Bangalore city police. We were flying, doing public announcements using the drone. We fit a speaker to the drone, and then we were doing public announcement inside containment zones. And later, what happened is the government of Odisha called us over to Bhubaneswar. Now, the most fascinating thing happened. Myself and Ritesh, we traveled from Bangalore to Bhubaneswar, that is 1,500 kilometers by road. And we were the only people on the road that time. And then 60 days we worked for the Bhubaneswar and Cuttack Police Commissionerate. And we got to visit a lot of places during that time. So, and once we were back, we were still helping out the Ministry of Agriculture in the anti-locust operations and all of that. So that's the beauty about being in the drone industry, and if you have the skill set of flying. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, I will tell you, there's innumerable opportunities that you could create with something as less as 5 lakhs, right? So you get a lot of loans, even collateral-free loans in that segment, and it becomes easier for you to maybe build a drone or buy an off-the-shelf drone and then provide service. You don't have to have a lot of capital to start a drone company. And that's the beauty about the drone industry. If you can invest in a drone and then maybe do surveillance, or you can do mapping and survey and do data acquisition, beautiful job. So today, data acquisition for mapping and survey per square kilometer is anywhere between 10 to 12,000 rupees. So you can do 5 square kilometers. I don't know of any job that pays 50,000 rupees a day, right? So that's the beauty about it. And if you get a project for 100 square kilometers, you're done. I don't think you will need to work for the rest of the year. So that is what the drone industry or the drone segment offers, both for people who are looking for jobs, also for people who are looking to be entrepreneurs. And you don't actually have to only build the drone. You can also manufacture motors for the drone, or propellers for the drone, or the flight controller for the drone, or the electronic speed controllers. You can design and build batteries or pack batteries. You can design the IMUs, you can design the GPS, or you can be a carbon fiber fabricator. You can have a carbon fiber fabrication unit and build frames for the drones. And you can even build launchers for the drone, or if you're good at optics and all of that, you can build camera payloads, different cameras, both for electro-optics as well as for thermal. You can do all of this. You can also build softwares for the ground control station. You can build softwares for post-processing. You can build anti-collision avoidance systems for the drones. You can build anti-crash systems like a parachute deployment system or an airbag system for drones, which can help drones survive crashes, right? Or survive some major malfunction. So even if you can build aero-grade screws or fasteners for drones, it makes sense at this point of time. It is not necessary that you always build a drone in its full-fledged system. So these are the things that the segment offers. Let us further see which all places we can handle. And before you move into a business, always get a mentor. It is very, very important for you to have a mentor who has experience in business. Some of you might not be from business backgrounds. Some of you might not be from technological business backgrounds. Some of you might have traditional businesses in very micro or small scale. Always have a business mentor who at least has done something in that technological field, or who has large scale businesses to be able to help you mentor, to able to help you grow your businesses. But these are the few things that you will need to do. These are the ABCs of the business, right? One is you get your business model right. You need to know what are you exactly offering, who your clients are, how are you going to reach it to your client, how are you going to do it purely online, or are you going to do it offline as well? What is going to be your costing structure? How are you going to accommodate inflation, or how are you even now going to accommodate the pandemic factor? And then what is going to be your branding and marketing strategy? See, any business is 80% or 90% marketing and branding, 10% operations and execution. As long as your clients don't know you exist, you do not exist. It's very, very important for your clients to know you exist, and then what services or products you offer. So always, what startups in the technological field do is they focus fully on the technology and forget that clients need to know you offer that technology, right? So it's very important you learn these aspects. Now, if you do not have hands-on with marketing and branding, either onboard a marketing specialist or a marketing advisor or a branding consultant, or outsource it to a marketing agency for a fee, or learn it yourself. This is what you could do. And you need to constantly make the world known that you exist, right? Apart from that, having a very strong network among the industry and among other industries is very important for them to know or utilize your services. And your costing should not be too low or too high. I'll give you a small example for costing. Now, what happened is the Indian Railways put out a tender for mapping the railway tracks. Now, drone companies went and pitched X amount, and marriage photographers simply went and pitched 10% of that X amount. Now, you can't work at those costings, right? So you never try to go too low just to get rid of your competition. This way, tomorrow when you go out there, you will not be able to sustain. Always make sure your pricing is right. And for that, you will need to do market analysis and understand what's the pricing out there. And then you will have to place it accordingly or pitch it accordingly to your clients so that your services sell. Don't always think it's about the costing. It's about the value you add to your clients and how you educate your clients as to why your services or products cost that much. And definitely clients will understand. If they tell somebody else is paying lower, you can always tell them to take their services, and clients will realize that paying that low, they would have not really got the worth or the end result they are looking for. So always sell the story and not your product or services. This is very, very important. So if they like the story, they will always go for your product and services. Keep these 6 points that you see on the screen in your mind before you launch so that you always have a strategy. Now, there are innumerous applications that are there. We can see it one by one. These are the major things that right now are running in this country. Agriculture, construction, survey, mining and inspection. Mining and inspection also holds good for the entire energy sector. But then let's take a look at what are the few of the novel ideas that are out there that really caught my eye, and then maybe can send off some sparks in your brain so that you could maybe put up or bring out new technology similar to that. So this is Raven X. Please let me know if you can hear it. Volume is full, but then if you cannot hear it, let me know. This is Raven X from AVM in the US. They have built this drone to launch rockets that are carrying nanosats for the low Earth orbit. Let's take a look at the video. This is the first prototype they have built. It has a very beautiful construction of the fully monochrome.
Separate third unveiled Raven X, the drone aircraft that will serve as the first stage of its small-sat launch system. AVM, a 4-year-old company based in Huntsville, Alabama, is positioning Raven X to the private small launch market, overseeing fast response service enabled by a company's airplane, the AFFLIATES model. The 55,000-pound piloted aircraft was 80, almost 60 kilograms. Raven X will be ready for operation the next 8 months. The next step is to secure building certificate. The vehicle later becomes the system.
So this is how it. This is a description of how it will actually function.
So I think there is sound, but the speech is not that clear, I guess.
Oh, okay. I'm 1 minute. Let me see if I could. I'm not sure how the share option for 1 minute. Share with sound. Okay, I'm not sure how we can do that. I'll explain it to you.
Yes, so that's quite enough.
U.S. leader.
So they already have pre-orders for launching satellites. Now, the best part is you can launch a satellite every 80 minutes. That's what they are targeting. So that's insane amount of relaunches that can be done. Nobody thought that you could use a drone to do space launch of satellites, but here AVM did. And why I'm presenting to you all these applications are so that you could always think out of the box. So I always keep saying in most of my webinars, drone application is actually limited by human imagination. Somebody thought that they could put, his name is Mr. Balram, who is the head of the Mars drone operation. So he thought they could put drones on Mars, and today they're already doing sorties every 3 days, right? So as long as you could have a very wild imagination about the way you can solve different applications, you can always build a drone for it. So let's go to the next application. So this is DJI's Agras T20. This is one of the best agriculture drones that is there outside. DJI is a Chinese company. They have obstacle avoidance. They have an FPV camera. It has an RTK GPS system that gives centimeter level accuracy on flight planning. This drone can do about 100 acres in a day. And then it also has a seed dispersal unit. You can also put solid fertilizer, granular fertilizers. IP67 is the highest rating there is for waterproofing. You can wash the drone. This is for precision agriculture. Using a multispectral camera, you could actually find out what parts of the field need these sprays instead of doing a blanket spray across all of the field. Here it's spraying for tea and other crops that are grown on plains, which are generally take a lot of time consuming, but then your drone does it autonomously. Okay, so I give you a few examples of this is going to be the largest drone market, so always keep this in mind. A normal human with a knapsack sprayer that is motorized can do maximum of 3 acres in a day. The current drones in India can do 45 acres. These drones can do about 100 acres in a day. If given that there is a large stretch of same crop and we have very minimal obstacles. And then the person who is generally spraying doesn't wear mask and all of that. So they are inhaling a lot of this. Those chemicals, when deposited on the screen, causes a lot of problem, including skin cancer. So we are removing all of that and adding so much value. Now, when we bring in the multispectral camera as well as the drone, we are reducing the amount of pesticide that is actually going into the field or on the crop. So the multispectral camera will give us an analysis of where the crop is really stressed and it is stressed due to what factors. Based on that, when we feed that data to the spraying drone, it will go to only that location and spray. That way, the amount of pesticide going on to the crops is totally reduced, thereby adding entire value to the end consumer who does not have to intake all those chemicals. So these are some of the beautiful things that these drones are accomplishing. Now, you can also fly multiple drones, or what we call as drone swarming, and spray large amount of lands, right? So that's another beauty. So, and you can wash it, it's simple to clean. And another thing that we did with spraying drones at Garuda Aerospace, Garuda is India's largest agri drone company. So we brought down the usage of water per acre from 200 liters to 19 liters, and now we are looking at reducing it still further. The pesticide remains the same, but the amount of water that is used is reduced by increasing the spray rate and increasing the precision. So this is logistics delivery in Tanzania. It's one of the countries that border Lake Victoria, one of the largest lakes in the world. So there's a person who's talking about the problems of road, how it takes a lot of time to cover to reach islands in the lake. The lake is so big, it has island habitation inside it. The lake borders, I think, 4 to 5 countries. So Africa is still plagued with a lot of deadly diseases, including cholera, typhoid, Zika, the Nipah virus, and all of them. You must be aware. Now they will show you the Lake Victoria map. You can take a look at it. To reach Ukerewe by road takes 6 hours. And by ship it's 3 hours. Drones does it under one hour. So they got Wingcopter. It's a German-based drone company to partner with DHL and today it autonomously delivers medicines across the regions of Lake Victoria. This thing, the same thing is being being done in Rwanda as well with zipline, where they transport blood to different regions. So everything is autonomous. You just feed in the location and the drone and put in the package, the drone will take off. And this is how future drone delivery is going to look like. So that's logistics delivery. This is thermal inspection. So thermal inspection is very useful. Thermal inspection is very useful for monitoring long pipelines, the power towers that hold the power transmission lines, boilers, chimneys, and places that it is difficult to reach. Like now in the pipes, it's very difficult to go inside, right? So you can use thermal cameras to find if there are leaks anywhere. Imagine if the pipes are like 20-30 kilometers, you can't walk along with the pipe. It takes a lot of time. With the drone, you just create a map and then mark the waypoints, and the drone will do its job. And you get real-time feed as well, so that you could alert the client, whoever is the client, maybe some thermal power corporation or water supply companies, as to show them where the leaks are, or even gas companies. So here you can see that there's an accumulation of whatever is being flown through the pipes. It might be gas, it might be water, it might be other liquids. These accumulations show there is some blockage, and this can be photographed with georeferences and sent to the maintenance team so that they can do their regular maintenance. So this is one of the applications that you could do. This is a very interesting application for precision afforestation. These drones help in planting seeds. So in India, we have a problem with afforestation, where we have forest fires or illegal cutting of trees that leads to large afforestations. In hilly places, it's very difficult. Deforestation. In hilly places, it's very difficult to plant trees because of the slope, and it becomes very dangerous. This is one good way where we could do that and ensure that trees are planted, and then you can use multispectral cameras once in every 30 days to assess how much of greenery is there. You can do two methods. One is random scattering, and then you can also do precision pod shooting using pressurized canisters. And what 100 people can do can be done with one drone. So that way you increase the rate at which afforestation is done, and help the environment, and then help fight climate change. So that is one. This is mapping and survey. This is one of the largest markets that are there out there, where you can map with drones. So the art of mapping or finding measurements using a photograph is called photogrammetry. Now, it's very simple to do with drones. You just plot the land that you want to mark or map. So you will see her, she's doing that. Now she's outlining the area. Yeah, is that simple? For this, initially people had to come with total stations, and then it used to take a lot of time to do this. Good. So you collect all the photographs that the drone has taken and put it into a post-processing software and stitch it, and then you get a map. And you can find different levels that are there, the ground level, ground elevation, and then the length and breadth of the area that you've mapped, or the land that you've mapped, the area of the land. All of this is done. It takes hardly 45 minutes to map 1 square kilometer, which takes a full day by humans to do it traditionally, right? So drones can do anywhere between 10 to 15 square kilometers a day, depending upon various other factors. And that's a large amount of land. So it doesn't depend. If you're doing a valley, you don't have to go down the valley to survey the place. Just drones are flying, and they will get the elevation and everything done. And it's risk-free. You're not putting yourself in harm's way when you're doing it. This is ultrasonic thickness testing. I think you would have studied it in engineering. So if you have to do chimneys like this, it's always risky, and then the plant has to be shut down for weeks together. Yes, you need scaffolding or man lifts or ropes. All of them are a little dangerous or very expensive and very time consuming. So there's a very interesting drone that has been built by Skygauge. The motors tilt in different directions so that the probe is very stable. And this is contact-based drone inspection, right? So apart from ultrasonic thickness testing, you can also do weld testing, which needs an angled probe, or you can do rust clearance for any testing process. So in this, they have accommodated both the probe as well as they've engineered the drone for multiple surfaces. So this is for ultrasonic thickness testing. Then we have these drones for firefighting. High-rise buildings, when there's fire above, it becomes very risky to go. The video is in Chinese. This is one of the company in China that has started building firefighting drones that could help extinguish fires in high-rise buildings, right? You can either spray water or fire suppressant foam. Even if, let us say, the fire is inside a room and then there's a glass blocking it, you can have a gun that shoots a pod that has fire suppressant so that it breaks the glass and then falls inside and releases that fire suppressant, and you can follow up with that. Here you can see this is a test site where they are spraying foam and water to extinguish fire. This the best benefit is if you have fire trucks that cannot go into narrow lanes, you can always use these drones to suppress fire. And then you can use multiple drones. Generally, firefighters, the problem with firefighters is they also die because of asphyxiation or because of inhaling carbon monoxide. So once they have a limited time period, when you see they carry oxygen cylinders, they have a limited time period through which they can fight fires. If the oxygen runs out, they will have to come out. This way, it becomes easier for firefighters to give outside support so that they can, the drone operators can extinguish the fire, and then firefighters inside can go and rescue people. This is the sport of the next era, FPV drone racing. Already arenas have come out across the world. In the World Games for 2022, drone racing has been included. The video feed that you are seeing is also from another drone that is being part of this race. Drones fly anywhere between 100 to 150 kilometers an hour, maneuvering through obstacles and the path. And the fastest, if you don't crash, or the fastest drone of the lap wins. And this is the sport of the 21st century. Anybody who likes fast sport, who are into motorsport, can also get into this. There's a huge demand growing for this. Along with drone racing, the same drones are used for FPV cinematography, where these drones chase fast cars or any fast action sequence of a movie is shot using these drones. And that way they are able to not use a helicopter or other aerial platforms which are expensive. An FPV racing drone costs about $1 lakh to build because of the goggles and the gear, that the camera that goes onto it. And once you've built, you can always use it. Here you can see that drone crashed into the net. So this is another sport that is there. You can always build FPV drones for the racing market. And for those of you who love engineering challenges, the Ornithopter is always there. You can always build it for the defense. So this is the AUVSI Expo, one of the largest drone expos that happens in the US. Drone companies from across the world come and participate. So they've designed this drone as a predator. The peregrine falcon is a predator bird. You can see it almost flies like a real bird. And then one application is they're using this to scare away other birds on agriculture land. Here they're using this bird to scare away other birds at the airport so that we minimize bird strike. You can also put a camera in the nose and then use it for surveillance as well. And then the sound the bird produces, when the ornithopter produces when it flies, also feels like a real bird. So this is one application. And then we have the military drones. This is by Aeronautics. It's a Israeli company. This is Orbiter 4. You can fly. It has a 24-hour endurance. Basically, if it is for distance you want. Catapult launch. It has multiple payloads for different military applications, including surveillance, ISR, that is intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance activity, mobile jammers.
So are you there?
Okay. Just a moment.
Okay, sir.
1 minute. I'm just going to stop sharing. I think.
I think we are facing a technical issue here. Sorry there. Sorry for the issue. We will wait for quite a few minutes so that Sir can join back. I think he's facing a technical issue there. Yes, he will be joining us in a short moment. And to all the participants, if you are having any queries or doubts or any need any clarifications regarding this session, you can type it in our chat box. So when he comes back, we can ask him directly. And also to the participants who are watching from the YouTube live stream as well, you can type in your queries in the YouTube comment section as well. We will be waiting for 5 minutes. If he could join back to us, then it will be fine. Until then, you can actually type in your questions or queries regarding the session, and we will make sure that we will get those questions to him. Okay, he is back. So can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's
Let
totally
me
fine.
continue. Just okay. Now it's fine. I think my computer overheated because of this videos. and it's hot also here.
Yeah.
Yes. So let me try to wrap it up fast. There's few more slides left. So the last application, there are innumerable applications. I just want to stress on this one more. The high altitude pseudo satellite is basically a concept where we have drones that will now become satellite itself. We initially saw drones launching satellites, but here drones will become satellites. This is called the Zephyr of the Airbus company. This is called the Zephyr program, where lightweight drones will launch into the stratosphere and then act as communication devices or surveillance devices, or basically like satellites. And then they will remain up in the air for 2-3 weeks and come back. So this will avoid what we call space debris. What happens now is you launch a satellite, it remains becomes garbage after its life cycle, and then it poses threat to other satellites and to the International Space Station. So we have a separate division at NASA monitoring space garbage itself, right? But this will help in avoiding that entire thing where it keeps flying, and then after a week, 2 weeks, it will come down and then relaunch again. Where you could put communication systems, and then it can help. You launch 3 or 4 of these, and then you can literally cover countries' satellite communication systems. And this is fully solar powered. And that way it helps. For taking it, you don't have to have fuel or something. You can keep flying. Now, I would advise everybody to become a drone pilot, whether you're starting a company or not. It's a very fun thing to do. If you're starting a company, then definitely you should know how to fly the drones that you because at initial prototyping stage, you will have to keep this in mind and take it forward. Now, for a drone pilot, these are what things that are required. You need to be 18 years of age. So you don't need to have a very high degree. If you finished your 10th and above 18 years, you can always apply for becoming one to get a license. And then you should have undergone the usual classroom session and the practical session. Now, keeping this in mind, what do we do at JMA? So we are India's first drone aerospace ecosystem startup. We exist solely to help other drone companies and aerospace companies to grow. We realize that it is the need of the hour because everybody starts off companies but then are stuck. Because imagine you need to go run behind the government or go after something, but you have limited resources. We always jump in and help, and then that's our business model. And our experience can also help startups grow faster because they don't have to go through the entire learning curve. We are there to become the exponential factor for anyone. And apart from this, we provide specific solutions. Like we train pilots so that you don't have to worry about having skilled workforce when your product or service goes into the market. We help in market analysis. We do brand consulting. If you want to have a test site, we build test sites for you. If you want infrastructure, let's say you want factories, you want land to set up factories, you want machinery, we help do that. You want us, so you have a very nice product and you think it can go help the government, we do government liaising work. You want investments, we help you with investment. So we do all of this for any product or service that we find really interesting, and then we think there's a market use case. And we started off primarily as a drone training company, drone pilot training company, and then we expanded our services into all of this. Why we started as a drone pilot training company is because we realized that's the first problem that every other drone startup is facing. They don't have skilled pilots to execute either the service or to take their technology to the field. And we train according to DGCA curriculum. We are not a licensing organization. We're just a training organization. And we also offer all our consultancies, just like how I said before. So this is our advanced drone pilot training program that we are doing currently. You can go through it. In the meanwhile, for those of you who are looking to have startups, I have mentored a lot of students. I think it's better to have a company than to be in a job. Nothing against getting jobs, but then I always realize that it's better to be your own boss, so that you never have to ask somebody to take a leave or go on a vacation or determine how much you earn, right? If you go to a company, somebody else determines your salary. But if you have your own job, you can pay. You can get paid whatever you want. Now, let's say a lot of people tell, sir, I don't have money to start. Anyways, if you get into a job, you will take a credit card or a personal loan, and then end up paying EMIs for the rest of your life, and then even pay EMIs after you retire and all of that, right? But that is what is bad debt. You take loans to buy things that don't pay you, like a car. A car is a liability. You build a house. If that house is not paying you, it's a liability. You buy clothes, you buy mobile phones. I don't know, you buy a lot of things. I don't do that. I only buy when it is necessary, but never on an EMI. So those are all liabilities. Those are all bad debt. You need to make the bank work for you and not the other way around. Today, all of you who have loans, you're working for the banks. And that's how they are all surviving and then make billions of rupees. So you take good debt. What is a good loan, sir? You might ask, sir, is there something called as a good loan? Yes, there is good loans. Loans that you take to build an asset that can pay you on a monthly basis is a good debt, right? So let's say you take a loan, you buy an apartment and you rent it out. That pays you every month. That's a good loan. You build a business and you make money from it. That's a good loan to take, right? So something that can always create an asset that can pay you. An asset is defined by something that can give you money or create wealth for you. If you say, I will buy land and then keep it and not do anything with it, that becomes a liability. Why everybody says land is an asset is because after some years, if you sell it, you make more money. That way, you need to start building assets. And then being in business or being an entrepreneur is about creating assets. And today, myself and my team, we are at the luxury of our house because we've built assets that pays us on a daily basis, right? So that is what being an entrepreneur means, and that is what being an entrepreneur enables you to become. And that's why I say being an entrepreneur is always a good challenge, because you will anyways have to work. If you go to a job, work it out 10 to 12 hours. The same thing here. Anyways, you will have to handle clients there. It's the same thing here. You will still have to sell yourself to get a job. It's the same thing here. But the best part is you are your own boss. You can decide how much you get paid. You can decide the timings that you can work at. You can even take a vacation and go to the Maldives and work from there. That's the beauty about being an entrepreneur. And if you can be that in the drone industry, is something phenomenal for you, because you're always out there in the fields, in the mountains, in the forests, and then not sitting in a chair in front of a laptop full day, right? So if you're somebody who likes adventure, likes traveling, who likes a beautiful challenge, you can always become an entrepreneur. You can even two people can put together money and then start all of this, right? That's how simple it is. and then you can go fly, get things outsourced from the government. Today the government follows that norm, and then you can get it outsourced and take it forward. And drone is the future. We will have drones going to space and then doing mining of asteroids and all of that. So think 10 years, think 20 years into the future. Don't try to solve a problem right now. Try to create a solution that will last 20 years, and that's how you can build a successful company, have a very great team. So every time I hire somebody, I ask them this question: will you work in this company even if I don't pay you? Right? If the answer is yes, I hire them, because they are no more working for money, but then they're working for achieving something. Money should never be the end goal. Money is always the byproduct of the solution, or the solution that you offer to the problem statements that your clients or people around you give you, right? So money is always byproduct. Don't chase the money, chase the solution. And once you create a large enough solution, money will automatically come. A lot of people think being in business or being an entrepreneur means chasing money. That's not it. Once you offer somebody solution, they definitely pay you back, right? So keep that in mind, and we'll take some questions and then take it forward from there. These are the contact details. You can always, we are on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, on LinkedIn, all social media sites. We are there. If you want more info, you can always follow us. If you want to get mentorship, you can always write to me, and then we will get back to you. So that's about for the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for actually enlightening us on the different applications of drone that most of us might have not known, and also differentiating between the traditional methods and the results which we could achieve. And towards the end, your insights on about starting a company. And I think most of us will be asking that question to ourselves as well, that will we be working for that company if we don't get paid as well? So now it's time for everyone to clear the doubts on the session if they had any, and please feel free to ask your question. I think we have one from Donald Trump in the chat box. Sir, do you offer internships? What are the requirements to get selected?
So we offer internships. We don't take money from anybody to offer internships. But our internships are 6 months. We don't do this 3-week, 2-week, 1-month internship. We believe it is 6 months. We pay you a stipend for it. To be an intern at our company, you need to have one very basic quality, is that you need to be open to learning. Once you're open to learning, then definitely dedication and hard work follows. And then I always take in interns who are solution providers, right? Who have that mindset where you need to create solutions. You will be given all the freedom that is required, but then you will have to be able to come up with solutions. Interns and employees are not very different at JMA. Both are given responsibility, both are given free hand, and then we encourage people to bring in new solutions into the organization, and that's how we work. We definitely offer internships, but then you need to be up to the mark.
Thank you, sir. I hope he got his answer. If there are any more questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, I have heard from a lot of people from the drone industry itself that unlike any other conventional industry, be it edtech or banking sector or such companies, the drone companies do not attract a lot of investors, unlike other companies. Is it because, is it actually true? And how much does the fact that there's a lot of legalities and such legal terms when it comes to drone, is it true that that is also affecting it?
Okay, so regarding the investment, since the regulations are still getting concretized, a lot of investors think it's still in murky waters. But then there are a lot of other companies that have got investment. So take for example, IdeaForge got an investment from Infosys. Reliance got 23 crores investment. Sorry, Asteria Aerospace got 23 crores investment from Reliance. General Aeronautics got $1 million in investment. I can keep going on. Investments are there, but India per se for investments, since it's dropped down in the business friendly index, is taking a lot of hit. But then investments are coming about. Recently, the global emerging markets investment company is looking to put in about $100 million in drone segments for the companies that are trying to go IPO in the next 2 years, right? So the money is there. There's foreign investments that are looking to come into India. The only thing is you need to have a very robust business model or a product that can serve both the government and the private client.
Thank you, sir. I think that.
Thank you, Aditya, for the question, and thank you, sir, for answering it. We have another question in the chat box. It's from an account named Icon. What are the basic requirements for starting a drone manufacturing company? What should be the first step, and should we build a prototype first?
Okay, now the first step, as I said at the beginning of this presentation, would be to understand what problem or challenge statement you're trying to solve. And keeping that in mind, then you start building a prototype. So before you build the prototype, you first try and see, are there drones or drone companies that have already solved this problem, and who's the best in that? Now, if there's somebody already who's done it, you try to build a drone that is 5 years ahead into the future. If you try to even build something a little better, you will become outdated 2 days down the line. So you will need to build a drone for that same problem statement, which is 5 years in the future for you to be able to sustain. Otherwise, you will become outdated in the competition very fast. And definitely you will have to build the prototype. The first step in building any successful company is to get a successful team or a very strong team. If you can have a team that can have your back, then everything else is ABC of business. It's very, very important to have very clear understanding of where you want to go, and then who is going to be there with you in that journey. If you have the wrong people partnering with you initially, it's going to be like a bad marriage or a bad relation. You will end in a breakup or a divorce. Right? Both of it is very, very pathetic. And all the effort and time that you've invested will go in vain. So it's very important that you have the right team, the clarity of where you want to reach, and what's the problem statement that you're trying to solve. Krishna Prasad has another question. I'll just take this. It's a usual question that comes up. What is the current situation of imports in the drone industry? Because I remember back when the DGCA released their restrictions, none of the parts were going through customs. And also, what are some good sources for acquiring drone parts? It's still the same. Right now, you will still have to go get permissions and get it into the country. Motors and ESCs are easy to get. Carbon fiber can come in as raw materials. Flight controllers are a little difficult. What you need to do is get a very good import consultant and then get it into the country. Now, let's say if you have to get a transmitter into the country, you need to have WPC clearance. For this, you will need to have the knowledge that any transmission communication system has to go through the Ministry of Telecommunications Wireless Processing and Coordination Committee, the WPC committee, and then have a ETA clearance. Only then can you bring in the transmitter, the GPS, and all of that. If you have to bring in batteries, you need to have a BIS certificate for getting in the batteries. And batteries come under dangerous goods, so you will need to know how to bring in dangerous goods into the country. So best thing is to get an import agent that who could get you all of this. You can always consult with us, and we can help you get import clearances done. You'll need to get clearance from the DGCA, the DGFT, and the Ministry of Telecommunication before you can get all of this done. So initially what we suggest is get everything for your prototyping phase, build a product, and during that time get all your certifications done so that you can build it. You cannot bring a full-fledged drone into the country as long as you do not show that it is NPNT compliant, the transmitters have ETA clearance, the GPS has ETA clearance, as well as the batteries have BIS certification. So it's best always to have a consultant that can help you get all of these parts into this country. Yes, somebody had a question.
So we have a question from the YouTube comments from the live stream which we are doing.
Okay.
And it goes like, what kind of jobs will develop in drone industry in the future other than pilot?
So you will need a battery specialist, drone maintenance engineers. You will need a whole team for the drone delivery. You will need somebody for handling the docking stations. In medical delivery, you will need actual pharmacists or lab technicians at the dispatch location. Even if you do lab technician work where you will work in a lab that handles blood and all of that, you can still be employed in the drone industry, right? You will need, you can become insurance agents with a technical background in the drone industry to assess drone crashes, right? That is a place that you could work in. You post-processing engineers, drone analytics engineers, or analytics specialists for data analytics. Those jobs are also opening up right now. If you want, you can become a GIS engineer and then do post-processing to create maps and surveys. That is another segment that you could work in. And if you can build payloads, those are places. Let us say you build drones for satellite launch vehicles, right? That itself is a whole industry that will need scientists and aerospace engineers to work in. So as and when there's a special application coming out, you can, like we did this. We brought in NDT engineers for in Garuda Aerospace to create the contact-based drone inspection for ultrasonic thickness testing. So we had to create that entire profile that did not exist particularly for this industry. It existed somewhere else. We had to build in and then create an entire SOP for it. So as and when the applications open up, different applications, you will see newer job profiles coming up.
Okay, sir. I think we have time for one last question. It's in the chat box from Niranjan. It's a pretty common saying, there are plenty workers but no ideas to work on. What would you suggest for a person who doesn't have any idea right now but wants to enter the drone industry?
Okay, that's a nice thing. Why don't you build something for the Coast Guard to help track our fishermen who don't see? General problem what we have with Sri Lanka is our fishermen cross into their waters. Either they are killed or captured, and then that becomes a very big diplomatic issue. What if you can track Indian fishermen boats and then we can give them walkie-talkies and tell fishermen you're crossing the waters, come back. That way, everybody is happy, nobody is getting caught or nobody is getting killed, and Indian diplomatic ties with Sri Lanka is safe. If you can do this, that's a use case that you have that you can go and sell it to the Indian Coast Guard. So for people who think that you can't get ideas, right? I follow one principle. I listen to everybody's problem and then see how I can fit a drone into it. That's the most simplest way I try to resolve or bring new drone solutions. Always listen to people's problem. If somebody says it's too difficult to go and buy coconut or dal from the nearby shop, you have a use case to sell to that person. So listen to that. If somebody is feeling very lazy to go and buy milk in the morning, you think of drones delivering milk at your doorstep. So that is how I try to build use cases and solutions and see if there's a business viability. There might not always be business viability. Maybe not right now. Maybe it might come in the future, but then that's how you create solutions.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sure. Now there are many no drone zones in India, and many. My college is in Yelahanka, in Bangalore. So there are many no drone zones in Yelahanka.
Correct.
And we have many drones there in Nitya Meenakshi College, Presidency College, BMS IT College. So are there any drone companies that tackle rogue drones, or is there any companies which tackle drones?
No, you're asking if there are drone companies near your college, or have they built drones
No,
for
no, no,
local
no.
use?
No, sir. Are there any companies to take down drones which go rogue or
Oh, you're
anything
talking about
like
the anti-drone mechanisms.
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's a nice point that you brought in. So anti-drone tech is also another growing industry in the drone space. There are companies that are working on it. You have so recently Adani Defense and Z-Axis Technologies in Gujarat were allowed to demonstrate and then continue their testing on anti-drone tech. There's another company called IIO Technologies in Bangalore that's also working on it. You can also enter that segment where you could sell anti-drone tech to the border security force that can be deployed on the India-Pakistan border, because we have a lot of drone intrusions happening from Pakistan, either carrying weapons or drugs, or simply monitoring this side of the border. Because if you take Punjab, on both sides of the border is not very is very transparent, I could tell. But it's heavily guarded. But still, they have drones coming over, dropping drugs and arms and ammunition and all that. So you can always put up anti-drone tech. There are companies, but then that's a domain that is not explored. You can always work on that segment.
Thank you so much, sir. Questions now, and we will be dropping it. Again, I welcome the chair of the session, Dr. Arun Agustin, to consolidate the session for us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. LeaP Peter Charles, for giving a wonderful session on this hot topic that is drone, this unmanned aerial vehicle. I think most of the students are enjoyed, and they are because of this so much of questions and queries is showing their interest, and it is an interdisciplinary area, and most of the engineering students can go into this field, and our resource person has explained most of these applications, like even NDT, mechanical engineers can join, and defense section, agriculture section. Even this pandemic time, I think COVID time, drone has a key role, I think. So, and the last session that is very interesting. I got very interesting because this program is run by entrepreneurial cell of Christ College of Engineering, and he has given a wonderful advice to our new gen entrepreneurs, and that also I think inspired our students. So thank you so much, Sir LeaP Peter Charles, for spending your valuable time with our this session. Thank you. Moving on.
Thank you so much, sir, for
thank you.
Your kind words.
Thank you, sir. And moving on to the final, I would like to invite Mila Rose to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Mila Rose Peter, CMO of IEDC CCE, and I am here to present the vote of thanks. First, I would like to thank Mr. LeaP Peter Charles for taking time from his busy schedule and enlightening us with the knowledge. Thank you so much, sir. And I am sure that each and every student present here had a fruitful session. It was through Ms. Nigita from SSCRD, including Mr. Harsha and Mr. Pritchwal, that our nodal officer, Rahul sir, could connect to you, and without a minute of hesitation, you jumped into action to have the session to talk us students, thus spreading your knowledge and experience. We intend to have more fruitful sessions with you, sir. Once again, a big thank you. Next, I want to thank our Executive Director, Reverend Father John Palekara, Principal Dr. Sajid John Sir, the Nodal Officer, Rahul Manohar Sir, the Student Executive Committee, and all other faculty and student members who have worked hard to make this event a big success. And yes, thank you to all the participants present here for sincerely attending this session and learning. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Mila. And before we all leave, there's a small token of appreciation from our side, and it's supposed to be presenting. Krishna Prasad. Okay.
Oh. Thank you so much. And
And
who's the artist?
It's by Anaga, I reckon.
Oh, very nice. Thank you so much. I'm humbled and honored by the sketch. First time this is happening. Thank you. I don't know what to say. Thank you so much for the gift.
And for all the participants, the feedback link is in the chat box as well. So once again, thank you everyone, and thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful and fabulous session. And thank you.
Thank you so much.
You all can leave now.